Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive, yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Awakened, Elevated Human. It's me, Lori Spagna, here with you again. Thank you so much for being here. It's my pleasure and honor to be sharing sacred space and time with you today. And I really am excited about the topic we're going to cover today. It may seem trite, or overtaught or overused, but the topic area is self-love. And the reason I want to talk about that is because self-love, self-worth, self-value is to some degree at the root of every issue or the lack of it. So while the real root cause of every issue at the most fundamental, basic level is consciousness and energy. We're energetically aligned or misaligned with our source. Self-love in the human world is one of the most, I think, lacking things in the world and missing. And it is so much the solution. So I want to define it from my perspective. And I also want to just say before I define it, I've been teaching classes in self-love. It's in my sacred mentorship. Everybody gets that class for years and years. And I'm still growing and learning and evolving on this topic area. So I think it's one of those things that humanity is really growing in and on. And it is so important. But it's the missing piece from the old paradigm experience. It's the missing piece. And it is the core issue in all relationship dynamics, really, because if there's a lack of self-love in any person in a relationship, then that relationship that they have with anyone else will at some point come into some forms of friction, because the self-love is what allows for healthy relationship dynamic. It paves the way. Self-love is what allows for any entrepreneur, solopreneur, visionary, or light leader to really share, because it's in the recognition that the self has something of value to offer, to share, to contribute to another self, another individual, their community, that will allow them to build their business, their platform. It is a foundational requirement for success in business, in life, in career, and in relationships. And it is a requirement for success with money, because self-love, self-worth, and self-value is directly connected and linked in to the value and the worth that not only we contribute and share and how we perceive ourselves, but also what we literally let ourselves get paid, whether it's through our business, through our services, or through our jobs, our careers, like whatever, however we let ourselves get paid. So it's also really interesting how entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who are not making a lot of money necessarily, or who are struggling with money, or especially light leaders who have really great service and consciousness to offer, but they can't get their business off the ground. They're challenged in that area. Why? Because of issues related to self-love and self-worth. Because if you don't fully, wholly, and completely really see the worth and value in who you are and what you're offering, and that other people will see it and understand it and perceive it too. If you can't see it, then how could anybody else? Right. And I have to say, like, I've shared about this in the past, like, this was not only was I teaching self-love, I was learning it, because I had years of trauma healing related to, understanding my worth and value, and realizing that this spiritual, esoteric stuff that I teach, I knew it had value for me. I understand that there is a spiritual solution to everything. I understand that energy is the solution to everything. And yet I had not met up with people in the physical world who saw that. So, for example, growing up, my family just had no interest in any of this. And they would call it, your spiritual SHIT. Like, they would refer to it that way. I don't want to hear it. And my ex-husband divorced me partially because he just wasn't into any of this, and it was too far out there for him. And he wasn't ready for a wife who would grow and evolve with. He wanted to stay the same in his small space of comfort. And I'm not dissing him. It's just, what I'm saying is that was a trauma of my life, seeing people in the world who did not value or respect or see value or worth in what I knew I was here to bring and what I was here to offer. Even I have memory back being 7 years old and walking out of SeaWorld, holding my father's hand and saying, "That's what I want to do, Dad. I want to help animals on a global scale." And he said, "Well, you can't make any money at that." And that was it. My dreams were poo-pooed. You won't succeed at that. Now, he didn't mean to do that. I love my dad. Don't get me wrong. It's just, that's the messaging we get, right? And we link that in as children into our own sense of worth and value, and it affects us, right? And then we carry traumas, deep traumas, about feeling, somehow that we're failing in achieving our hopes and wishes and dreams and goals and desires, and that everything that, we really want to be and have, everything that we're dreaming of, is not possible for us, because it's linked in somehow with a sense of worthiness, deservability, value, and worth, right? The other day I was at the gym, and the woman who was coaching me, she was showing me the machines and how to use them properly. And I'm super psychic, right? So I'm standing next to her, and I just know, like, she's not living her dream. And it's impossible to, I always say, your secrets aren't safe with me, right? I say that to my friends. Your shadow's not safe with me. Your secret's not safe with me, because I'm very telepathic. So I just said to her, like, what is your dream that you want to do? And she was a little walled, but it didn't take long to, like, break through the wall with her. And she got it, like I was picking up on something. So she was like, "Oh, well, I really want to do art." I'm like, "And you're in a gym teaching about it?" We had a really nice conversation, right? But what was clear, and she wasn't with me for a session, so it's not necessarily my business to go looking under her hood of her unconscious, but I feel that I was helpful to her to the degree that she was willing to accept and allow to open up to what was coming through for her without me invading her privacy. But what was clear was that she just didn't believe it was possible for her, and she couldn't understand how she could make the same money as a trainer in the gym. Trainers don't get paid a ton of money. selling her art. And so I was giving her some tools for how to, work with the universe. But regardless of that, she was stopping herself from doing her dream of creating art by doing her, I would call that prostitute archetype, right? And prostitute has nothing to do with sex. It means where we're selling our soul for money. She was prostituting herself, not in the traditional sense. And she's a beautiful, perfect woman. But, right, she was doing what she did not love for money because she didn't believe that anyone would pay her for her artwork, right? And by the way, I picked all of this up because she had a physical issue of her own. So I won't go any further down there, but it started with, I knew what the root was at the physical issue. Okay. And meanwhile, she's training in a gym, right? There's no wrongness that she's teaching how to use the machines in the gym. There was no wrongness in it. It's just, this is the pain we hold on to that keeps us stuck and blocked because we're not understanding at the depth and from the depth of the core of our being, our true value, our true worth, and the value of what we're here to bring forward. Because how does that woman not know, in this one example, that her artwork, she could learn to infuse that artwork with incredible energy, and that artwork would go heal 100 people. I'm just using one example, right? Through the energy of that artwork, and that is what she's really truly here for, and the value and worth in this example of her offering to the world through what she loves most, the painting. And even if she didn't put art energy into it, even if it was just the beauty of the painting, because it was fine art that she was talking about, was what she was meant to offer, that maybe it would make someone so happy to have that painting, and that maybe someone would be willing to pay her a whole month of salary that she was getting perhaps in the gym. Just an example. You see, so the unconscious blocked her from seeing and realizing that worth and value and the potential of what she had to offer through her passion and her joy. This is what we do. People do this, and we block and limit ourselves from really being the best expression of ourselves and sharing our greatest gifts and talents in the world. Yes, maybe there's some archetypical pattern that's keeping us stuck or blocked. In this example, I referenced the archetype of prostitute archetype, or self-sabotage, which is an archetype, a pattern, a way we behave. But those patterns are patterns that are there because there's a lack of self-love and self-worth and worthiness and deservability. And those issues have been plaguing humanity through that old paradigm. And the archetypical patterns, which are survival patterns that we've developed over time to adapt, to survive, they're interfering with us being the magnificence and the brilliance. Now, of course, we can do trauma healing, right? That, if you haven't listened to the episode, I think it's already been released on trauma healing, or else it's coming up soon. Be looking for that one. But the point is, if you understand, trauma healing can help, but what really wants to be cultivated is the worth and the value within. And see, our old paradigm way of thinking, the way we've been so conditioned to believe, is that we don't have worth, we don't have value. There's a whole history of humanity. Another thing is just archetypical pattern. I'm not talking literal. I'm talking archetypical pattern of what we call slave driver, which is linked into workaholism and just slaving away, working. That energy, the density of that is not the passion of the joy, right? It's that programming devalues us and makes us just work where we're not really at the fullness and the expression of the offering of the greatness and the magnificence that we have. That's a self-worth, self-value issue. It's old paradigm, right? Slave driver archetypical pattern is another pattern that humanity has been kind of programmed into. So we have to resolve those things. And yes, we do that through trauma healing, but we have to really cultivate and grow that self-love and self-worth and self-value so that we start realizing I am not meant to prostitute myself. I am not meant to be a slave, slaving away. I am not meant to give less than the greatness of what I'm truly here to offer. I am not meant to be doing things that I don't love just so that I can make money. I am meant to find a way to bring the fullness, the richness, and the wholeness of the expression of who I am, my passion, my joy, my brilliance, which is the divine expressing through us into this world, and live in the richness and the fullness of who I am. Now, we can only do that if we start loving the self, including loving all those aspects of ourselves that are not being loved, such as the workaholic, such as the inner prostitute, such as the parts of us that see ourselves as worthless or not lovable, or no one's going to pay attention, or no one's going to care, or who am I? Like, that's a big one. Who am I to do this? Who am I to think that I could go and help the world? Who am I to think that I could help animals on a global scale? I had that. Who am I to think I could be a best-selling author? Who am I? Whatever your who am I is, who are you not to? Who are you not to be that? You are all those other things, but that's not the truth of who you are. Who you are is the brilliance and the magnificence of the divine that wants to express itself through you, and that wants to bring your brilliance and your magnificence and the passion, what you love, what you're truly here for, into the world. And I want to say something else. In today's current economy right now, there's a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs who are realizing and struggling with the financial. Maybe they're not doing as well as they've done in recent markets. And I keep saying I'll do a little conversation about that, one of the episodes, but it's been more challenging for people. And some of my friends and colleagues have asked me, like, how are you doing so well? And I just know this. Here's what I want to offer you from the depth of the core of my being. My core brilliance is what I'm doing right now. My core brilliance, my reason for being here is to share consciousness and energy, to support the light, which is the expansion of consciousness, to assist other humans in revealing the light through them so that we can all make the global impact. We can make the inner transformation so that the outer transformation of the world is positively uplifted and elevated, that we become the best, most magnificent versions of ourselves. So this is my brilliance. This is what I'm here for. There's nothing else. This is what I'm made for. So I have no fear or worry. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And because I'm aligned with my source, I know that I will be continuously and continually supported so that I can do this work, so that I can continue to offer what I'm here to offer. And yes, I'll be challenged. I have been on my journey to up level, to grow, to expand like other people are, to heal and resolve wounded parts and traumas. But this is what I'm here for. And so I say this to all of my fellow entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, light leaders, and visionaries, which is you, people out there who really want to make global impact and know somewhere within you in the depth of your being that you have something brilliant and magnificent to offer, and that you are, whether it's painting, fine art, whether it's music, whether it's some form of coaching or mentorship, whether it's some form of energy healing, whatever it is, whatever your core brilliance is. Maybe you're a health coach, or maybe you're teaching leadership, or maybe whatever your entrepreneur or solopreneur might be. Maybe it's you being the best mother you can be. Maybe it's you being the best, you're working with animals. A lot of my people work with animals. Whatever, the best animal communicator, whatever it is you're here to do, if you're here to do it and it is your core brilliance, your job is to develop and cultivate the self-love and self-care, self-nurturing, self-value, self-worth so that you can keep doing it. And by working with that self-worth, self-care, self-value, self-nurturing, self-honoring, and learning how to really do that, you come into alignment with your source more and more because source loves you. Source is love, beyond love. And let me say this if you haven't heard this already, because this is truth with a capital T. It is absolute truth. You are lovable because you exist. You are worthy and deserving because you exist. You matter because you were created and you exist. You were created with something in you, and you may not have found your core brilliance yet because it's layered under those levels, layers of levels of what needs to be trauma healed potentially, but the core magnificence of you is in there, and the passion and the brilliance of what you're here to offer will be revealed to yourself as you cultivate self-love and self-worth, self-nurturing, because you're going to discover, it's a journey of discovery, of learning what you love, what you're passionate about, what you're excited about, what you're brilliant at, what you're magnificent at, and what you're here to offer. So as you go on this journey of exploration to not only heal and resolve those traumatized parts of yourself, the wounded aspects that don't know your lovability, that aren't aligned with your source, that don't see your worth and value, that don't honor and respect you, that aren't recognizing your magnificence, as you go to heal and resolve those parts of yourself and integrate them, right? That's trauma healing. And as you couple that with truly the behaviors and the new awarenesses, the energy of falling in love with yourself and claiming this truth that you are lovable, valuable, worthy, deserving because you exist, and there's nothing you need to do. There's no one you need to prove it to. Someone else's capacity to love you or their incapacity to love you is not an indication of the lovability that you are, of how lovable you are. I promise you, this is true. I grew up with a lot of people who didn't necessarily know how to love me or didn't show me how to love me. I had to learn it for myself. And what I came into realizing and knowing is that someone else's incapacity to love me was not a reflection of my lovability. And it's not a reflection of yours either. Someone else's incapacity to love you or inability to express love or demonstrate love to you is not a reflection of your lovability. You are lovable, worthy, and deserving because you exist. This is so important. This is so important. Please get that with the whole of your being and breathe that in and start to know and operate from that perspective, that knowing. Start taking it into your body and start living your life as if you were loving you and valuing you and treating yourself with the whole and complete worth and deservability that the God, divine source within you and the all that is, that God, that infinite all that is, would treat you, would hold you like a child and love you like a baby. So treating yourself that way with harm to none, not stamping on anyone else, not trampling on anyone else, and not harm to yourself either, not being a doormat or a victim or letting somebody abuse you, just loving yourself. Start living life that way. And I know for a lot of people, you don't entirely know what that is, but just start wherever you can begin. Start knowing it, behaving it, cultivating it, developing it. And I promise you, it will improve every area of your life. Maybe not overnight, little by little, step by step, micro win by micro win. It will happen. Stay the course and keep doing. You are lovable, infinitely lovable, lovely, worthy, deserving, valuable, and you matter. So know that from my heart to yours. And I'm sending you so much love. I am hoping that this podcast episode has truly served you. Of course, if you want more, please let me know. We cover this in great depth. We do all kinds of energy healing and energy work on this inside of the Sacred Mentorship, because as we develop this, not only do we become more of the expression of our most magnificent self, but our businesses start to thrive, our lives start to thrive more, our relationships improve, and we start seeing and perceiving a brighter future ahead for ourselves and for one another. We start more clearly creating that on earth for ourselves and for one another, and that is new paradigm. Okay, I hope this has been helpful to you. I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you so much for sharing the sacred time and space with me. And thank you, most of all, for being your most magnificent best self and bringing that forward into the world. Oh, my love, farewell for now. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.